What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mike Tagliere, here for one final Sunday. It is week 16. It's Fantasy Championship week. Can't believe we made it. I'm not going to lie. When we first started doing this live stream this year, I didn't know if we were going to be here for all 16 weeks, but I'm happy that we did. We made it through. Happy holidays to you and your family. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed some time away from the TV or watching TV, because obviously there was football on both Friday and Saturday. But today obviously is the final live stream of this season. I mean, we're going to continue to do video stuff throughout the off season. So guys, make sure you stay tuned for all that stuff because it will keep you prepared for the remainder, like throughout the off season. So we're going to be delivering NFL draft content, dynasty content, all that fun stuff for you guys. So make sure you guys stay subscribed to the channel if you are already. And if you're not, subscribe to the channel so that you could be more informed as we move throughout the off season. All right, so as we typically do at the start of these shows, I'm going to run through the injuries that we have for this week, because there's it would not be 2020 if we didn't have injuries in one of these weeks, right? And a lot of names that popped up on this injury list throughout the day, throughout the week, whatever. And I understand that some of you may have missed some of these things just because, again, it's been a hectic week. Holidays are here. Week 16, there's been COVID things, there's been injury things, there's been a lot. So let's run through those real quick. Julio Jones not going to play. Sadly, it sucks, but it is what it is. He's out again. The surprising ones of this day again, this came out yesterday. Jarvis Landry and Rashard Higgins are not going to play. They were close contacts on the COVID list. This is crazy because it's the first game that Jarvis Landry is going to miss of his career, and it's because he's a close contact, not even because he has COVID. So it really sucks. Get those guys out of lineups. And honestly, the only wide receiver that the Browns have available to them in this game is Marvin Hall. They called up some guys from the practice squad, but they haven't had time to work with the team, so I can't imagine they'll have very big roles. Clyde Edwards-Helaire not going to play. Le'Veon Bell will start in his place. Hunter Henry, another player who was put on the COVID list earlier this week, he's not going to play. Donald Parham is the guy that's going to fill in for him. Don't necessarily think you need to attack him. Tyler Boyd out with a concussion. Obviously, it kind of stinks, but bumps up T. Higgins, bumps up A.J. Green a little bit. Cam Akers is out with a high ankle sprain. Most people probably know that because that came out at the beginning of the week. Not going to play. Duke Johnson is out for this game. Gives David Johnson a little boost. We saw him get 11 targets last week, so obviously he gets a big boost there and a good matchup. Philip Lindsay also out. I don't think anybody was playing Philip Lindsay, but if you were playing Melvin Gordon, this is a massive bump for your fantasy team. I've moved Melvin Gordon up into RB1 territory. Like him a lot. And then the questionable ones, the guys that, Christian McCaffrey's not going to play. Terry McLaurin is not going to play. Those guys are both listed as doubtful. They're not going to play. So get them out of your lineups. That really sucks. Keenan Allen, they're calling a game time decision. Now, he doesn't play until the 4 o'clock games, so therefore you're kind of left in limbo. I don't think it. According to Adam Schefter, he's not expected to play, but they're going to let him work out pregame. Either way, it's really difficult to trust him after what happened last week. So he did not practice on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, got back into a limited practice on Friday. I can't play him with much confidence. Ezekiel Elliott is expected to play. However, they are expecting it to be a timeshare between him and Tony Pollard. So I have Zeke back in the RB3 territory. Pollard in that same range. I still think I prefer Zeke, but Pollard is someone that he's still in that RB3 territory because it's projected to be somewhat of a 50-50 split. Antonio Gibson is now expected to play against Carolina. It's a decent matchup. I mean, it's not bad, obviously, but you're taking some risk by putting him in your lineup. So I've slotted him in my running back rankings at RB24. Like, if you're torn between someone like him and Ezekiel Elliott, I'd probably go with Antonio Gibson just because it's a better matchup. And, if he's healthy enough to go, he's healthy enough to go. I mean, it is what it is. It was turf toe, so we'll see if he's over it. Damian Harris, we have no idea. He doesn't play until tomorrow night, so unfortunately, if you have Damian Harris, I don't think you can rely on him right now. He's been limited in practice all week. He's listed as questionable on the injury report. The Patriots don't leak anything, so be prepared to be without him. Jamal Williams, not expected to play. A bump to Aaron Jones, but you were playing him already. And then John Brown. John Brown's an interesting one. I tried to find some information on this before starting the show because I wanted to give you guys something, but they demoted, they sent back Jake Kumaro down to the practice squad. And so it seemed like John Brown was going to be activated to the active roster. And that hasn't happened yet. They have until, I think, 4 o'clock tomorrow. So basically, we don't even know about John Brown. Basically, don't rely on players like that. So those are the injuries that we had to get through. I'm going to obviously get through as many questions as I can for the next hour with you guys. So hopefully You guys are ready for nonstop me talking, because that's basically what I'm going to do. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Now, again, I feel the need to remind everyone of this. Narrow it down to 2 or 3 players. I want to get to as many people as I can, especially with it this week, the championship games. Narrow it down to 2 or 3 players, and I will answer that. If you're like, oh, I'm considering 4 or 5, narrow it down. Do 2 different questions if you have to. But I'm going to talk about a lot of those players that are probably on the fringe this week. But again, narrow it down. So we'll start right here. Let's see. Steven asked, Carson, Miles Sanders, or Kareem Hunt in a PPR format? I would play Miles Sanders. I don't know how you sit Miles Sanders against a Dallas defense that basically can't stop the run. They've allowed the 2nd most rushing yards in the NFL behind only the Texans. And the start of Jalen Hurts, basically him coming into the lineup as a starting quarterback, that's turned Miles Sanders into a full-time back. He's played over 80% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. That's something he only did once to start the entire season. So Miles Sanders is someone that I have as a top 10 running back. I'm playing him over Carson and Hunt. Ryan asked, Matt Ryan, or Baker Mayfield. The answer would have been Baker Mayfield for me if he had all of his wide receivers, but I've had to move him down. There is no way that you could feel confident starting Baker Mayfield without his top 4 wide receivers. Legit, his top 4 wide receivers are out. Now, he does have a pass-catching running back in Kareem Hunt. He does have Austin Hooper and a couple tight ends, but I can't feel confident with him. Matt Ryan, without Julio Jones, has been really bad this year. Now, he did step up last week against Tampa Bay. That game was at home. Now they're playing in Kansas City. Matt Ryan, I had this decision last week, and I really wanted to play Matt Ryan over Mitch Trubisky, and everyone was telling me, go with Mitch, and ultimately, in the end, I let everyone else win, and I regretted that decision. It didn't matter. But this week, I feel pretty confident saying that Mitch is the quarterback I'm going to go with. So I'll go with Trubisky in a game. So the Jaguars are a team that obviously doesn't really need to win. They don't want to win. If I'm being honest here, the Bears are a team that are fighting for their playoffs. It's a must-win game for them. Do they play it safe? That's my concern with Trubisky. Do they play it safe, and do they sit on the ball like they did last week? Trubisky only threw the ball 21 times, but it's important to note that Trubisky has struggled against that Mike Zimmer Vikings defense. It's not the same defense as it once was. I get that, but it's still the same scheme. And sometimes Trubisky, he's like he's a creature of habit, and basically he does well against teams, he does bad against teams based on what he's seen. So this matchup against the Jaguars, we haven't seen him against them, but this defense is so banged up. They're missing their top 2 or 3 cornerbacks. I'm going to go with Mitch here. I just feel like he's the safe play, and I do think he has a ceiling if Matt Nagy allows him to post some numbers here, because we want to get that confidence going up into a potential playoffs for the Bears, which is kind of crazy after that Cardinals loss last night. Let's see, Bell, Kareem Hunt, or Mike Davis at flex. Now, these guys are all in the same territory for me. I will tell you that I have Le'Veon Bell the highest. I do, because the Chiefs team implied total, I think, is 32. So they're projected to score 4 touchdowns in this game. And if you go back to before Le'Veon Bell was actually signed with the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was averaging, basically, I think it was 21 touches per game is what he was averaging. I'm not, or 21 opportunities. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to get all that opportunity. I think Darrell Williams is probably going to eat into some of it, but Le'Veon Bell has looked better the last couple weeks with the Chiefs. Maybe it just took him some time to get caught up with that scheme, but he did look solid last week, and I think I'm playing him here. He's the guy that I would say I'd lock into 15 touches in this game, and then obviously Kareem Hunt gets a bump with the wide receivers out, but I don't want to do it too much. It's not like they're going to line him up at wide receiver. It's just, I think it's going to be a very run-heavy game for them. Now, Kareem Hunt is a solid play. I have him as an RB2. I put him at RB20. I'd probably put him at RB19 if I was able to move some players that I've already played, obviously. Like, I would have put him ahead of Kenyon Drake had I known all these wide receiver things, but we did not know going into that game. So Kareem Hunt's at RB20 for me, and then Mike Davis at RB21. Mike Davis has been slowly seeing a decline in his snap count, which obviously makes it worrisome. So let's see here. Zeke or Pollard, if they both play. I have Zeke a little bit higher. It's not much because we're hearing it's like a timeshare. I have Zeke at 27. I have Pollard at 30. It's not a great matchup against Philadelphia to begin with. That's a team that does pretty well against the run, but I have to think Zeke would be the play. Yeah, it's really rough. There's some people out there saying, like some doctors saying that they don't trust Zeke, but I don't know. How much do we really know? If Zeke is not healthy, why are they going to put him on the field considering Pollard did so well filling in for him last week? So there's risk with both of those guys. I have them both in RB3 territory, but I mean, if it was my team and I was choosing between them, I think I'd have to go with Zeke. Joe asks, Kareem Hunt, Tyler Lockett, or DJ Moore at flex and a half PPR. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt there. I'm going to take the guaranteed touches. Tyler Lockett, obviously a brutal matchup against the Rams. He does, for what it's worth, he does have the best matchup on the field. He lines up in the slot the majority of the time, and Troy Hill is the cornerback there. He has not been nearly as good as Jalen Ramsey or Darius Williams, but he's still been solid. It's not a great matchup, and you could look at obviously Tyler Lockett the last time they played. Not a huge game. I'm not expecting a big game out of him, and there's obviously no guaranteed touches with a wide receiver. Same thing with DJ Moore. He's in a tough matchup against Washington. He has slowly emerged as the number one receiver in this offense again, which is great. I don't dislike DJ Moore this week. I actually have him at wide receiver 16, I think, but I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. I'm just going to take the guaranteed touches because, again, I do believe that the Browns are going to have a very, very, very run-heavy game script here where we could see them run the ball 40 times against the Jets. I really believe that because, again, those wide receivers, the depleted top 4 wide receivers, or we should even say top 5 considering Odell Beckham was already out, but top 5 wide receivers in your squad, not in this game. You'll have one active wide receiver who's actually practiced with the team. That's problematic. So Kareem Hunt, I'm expecting him to get 15 touches in this game. And even though the Jets' run defense is better than average, I still think I think you should be playing him. Hayden asked Kiki QT or Jalen Guyton. I'm going to go with QT. Guyton is someone that's, again, so we're a little bit torn here because we don't know what's going on with Keenan Allen. I'm going to try and pay attention to things as they pop up. All right. Nothing right now, but Keenan Allen, if he is out, Guyton is the one who plays in the slot the majority of the time. He kind of fills that role. So if Keenan Allen plays, even if he's limited, it's going to cut some of those snaps away from Jalen Guyton in the slot, where Tyron Johnson is someone that he's more beneficial if Mike Williams were to miss, but Mike Williams was removed from the injury report altogether. I like Mike Williams in that game. Everybody else, you're legitimately throwing a dart. I like Mike Williams, though. He was removed from the injury report, practiced in full. It's a back injury that he had, and if there's anybody out there that knows back injuries, it's me. I've gone through multiple back injuries, back surgery, all that fun stuff. Back injuries, there are times that they act up, and then you're going to deal with it. But if he is off the injury report and he's practicing in full, that means the spasms are gone. He should be good to go. I do like him in this game, but the other guys, they're just too risky, so I'd play QT. QT's matchup's not great, by the way, against Mackenzie Alexander in the slot, but I'd still play him. Tyler S. Gibson or Jonathan Taylor in a standard format. I would go with Jonathan Taylor here. It's a little difficult to recommend Antonio Gibson over someone that we know is going to get a lot of touches, because Gibson could always come in, play the first few snaps, and then decide, it's not working out for me. And they can go to J.D. McKissick, who they've already used quite a bit. I mean, even if you go back to when Antonio Gibson was healthy, they were splitting the snaps between these two, so it could be more of a reason for them to kind of ease Gibson back into the lineup. Jonathan Taylor, brutal matchup against Pittsburgh. However, we've seen this Pittsburgh defense slowly deteriorate, and part of that's because they've had a lot of injuries. There's nothing that they can do about those injuries. They're going to slowly start to allow more and more production to running backs. So Jonathan Taylor is a guy that's running really well. The concern for the Colts offense this week is that they don't have their starting tackles. Like, legit, their left tackle and their right tackle are out. Now, those guys are obviously, they're run blockers as well, but their main, left tackle, extremely important to pass blocking. So that's going to be a downgrade for someone like Phillip Rivers, where Jonathan Taylor, the interior of the offensive line, is there. Those guys do a lot of the dirty work. So, I mean, I don't love Taylor this week, but I still would play him over Antonio Gibson. Toby asks, Watson, Hurts, or Josh Allen? I have it Hurts as the number one quarterback there. It's funny because coming into yesterday's games, I had Hurts as my number 3 quarterback on the week, behind only Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know why, but the last second I decided, I probably should put Kyler Murray a little bit safer now that he's healthy ahead of Hurts. And I regretted doing that. And obviously it didn't pan out so well because Kyler didn't play a good game last night. But Hurts is the quarterback I go with. He comes with a great floor, and we obviously saw a massive ceiling. Whereas Josh Allen, that's still a divisional game. Bill Belichick's not just going to lay down and do nothing. They're always slow-paced games with New England, and that's the concern you have there. And then Deshaun Watson, the Bengals are not as bad as everybody thinks they are through the air. I posted a stat on Twitter earlier this week, and it was that the Bengals, if you put the Bengals and the Bears defenses right next to each other in terms of, the completions allowed on pass attempts, yards, it's nearly identical. The Bengals have allowed, I think it was 4 more passing touchdowns. So, yeah, the touchdowns were there. That's fine. But it's not like it's a smash spot against the Bengals. You actually should run the ball quite a bit. That's why David Johnson's such a good play this week. But I would go with Jalen Hurts. I just think the floor is too high, and the ceiling is obviously there too. Austin Hooper or Mike Davis at flex full PPR. I got to go with Mike Davis because you're going to get a running back who's going to get 15 plus touches. His snap share has come down, as the weeks have gone on. Hooper, I do like as a tight end. I really do, especially with the wide receivers out. He's going to get targeted, and it is a great matchup against the Jets, but starting a tight end over a running back in the flex, I just can't do it. I unless it was like Travis Kelce or Darren Waller, yeah, I could do it with those guys, but I don't think I could do it with Hooper. I like him, but I can't play him over Mike Davis in a flex. Doc asked PPR, Mooney, Tyron Johnson, Chad Hansen, or Claypool. I'd play Claypool. Not many people realize that the Colts secondary has allowed the second most yards per target to wide receivers. And a lot of the reason that most people are worried about the Colts is because they look at the overall numbers and what the Colts have allowed to wide receivers, because they are I will tell you in a second, the Colts are the number 9 defense. They've allowed the 9th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers on the year. So people get concerned about that. If you break it down and you look at the target share against them, wide receivers haven't gotten targeted a whole lot. But when you look at this Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver core, they are going to get targeted. I think they receive 70% of the targets in this offense. So they're going to get targeted. They're going to get tested. And I do believe it's a good matchup for those guys. Deontay Johnson's someone I'm playing like legit, no questions asked. Chase Claypool, is there a little bit of concern with him? Yeah, because obviously his snap counts have come down to where he's playing around 60 to 70% of the snaps, but the targets have been there. He's seen at least 6 targets, I think, in all but one game over the last 2 months. So I do like Chase Claypool a little bit. I'm not like he's not a must play, but over those guys, I'll take Claypool. All right, let's see. Mike Williams or Hollywood Brown in the flex, half PPR. I would play Mike Williams personally. And I understand that some people are going to be like, whoa, that's crazy. But Hollywood has been really touchdown dependent. He really hasn't been a yardage guy this year. He's been up and down throughout his production. And now you go to match up with James Bradberry, who has done extremely well against number 1 wide receivers. I would imagine they're going to shadow James Bradberry with Hollywood Brown. The matchup against the Giants is not one that's really pass friendly. So I'm not in love with Hollywood this week. I think that he's a boomer bust wide receiver 3. But Mike Williams, I actually like a little bit more. I've moved Mike Williams up to wide receiver 29 under the assumption that Keenan Allen doesn't play, or if he does, he's extremely limited. So I'm going to go with Mike Williams there. Hurts or Tannehill? I would play Hurts. So the concern with Tannehill, so I like Tannehill this week, and I think that he makes for an interesting ceiling play. But the concern here is that the Packers are a team. If the Packers jump out to a lead, this game is going to slow down so much. The Titans, not so much. The Titans' opponents run like 68 plays per game, but the Packers' opponents only run 60 plays per game. It's because the Packers kind of dictate that, right? They take care of the clock. They wait until play count, or the 40-second clock, the play clock runs down to under 10 seconds, and they're going to snap the ball. They are extremely efficient on offense. They take their time. That's what can lead to a lower floor for Tannehill in this game. He is extremely efficient. I can't wait to watch that game because I really do hope it's a shootout, but I think there's more question marks I have there than against Dallas, because Dallas, you kind of do whatever you want against Dallas, really. You really do. So I'm going to go with Hurts there. I just think that the floor is there, the ceiling's there. There's not a whole lot of question marks. Touchdown only league, Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how you don't play Rodgers there. I would play Rodgers. And why touchdown only? That's crazy. Juju, Claypool, Chark, Gage. All right, there's way too many players there, John. Narrow it down. Again, guys, 2 or 3 players max, because I'm trying to get to as many people as I can. Jason, Beasley or Giovanni Bernard in a full PPR? I'd probably go with Gio. I understand it's a little bit of a risk, but when you take Tyler Boyd out of the mix, you might see a few more targets for Gio in that matchup, and we already know the matchup on the ground is just fantastic. So I'm going to go with Gio and take the guaranteed touches. Let's see. Atherton, Giovanni Bernard, or McKissick in a half PPR. So I had McKissick higher until we found out that Antonio Gibson was going to play. Obviously, that removes some of the appeal from McKissick, and it does make Giovanni Bernard the guy that I would rather play in that scenario. Just because McKissick, he might get some catches. Yes, I still think that he's a solid RB3, high-end RB3 even. But Giovanni Bernard, that matchup with Houston, it's just like you look at the running backs they've played, you look at the production, and it's like, I want to say that they've allowed 17 different running backs to finish as top 20 options, and they've only played 14 games. So, Gio, it seems like it's just too good of a matchup to pass up. Brian asked, Mahomes or Hurts? I would play Mahomes. I would never sit Mahomes, ever. Tyler asked, Eric Ebron or Cole Kmet, half PPR. This one's, I'm probably going to go with Kmet here, and I know a lot of people are going to question that, but if you look at the Jaguars, they're slightly, just a little bit behind the New York Jets in terms of production on a per-target basis to tight ends. Cole Kmet played 100% of the snaps last week. That's massive. We have seen this as the year's gone on. We've seen step up continually, over and over and over. We've seen Cole Kmet snaps go up, and it got to the point where it maxed out. He can't go any higher. He's on the field. We know that Allen Robinson's a little bit nicked up. We obviously, David Montgomery's been playing extremely well, but that can also open some doors for the tight ends, especially if they get down on the goal line. They run like a play action. Teams are going to sell out to stop that run. So I do like Kmet. Eric Ebron, it seems like his injury is okay, which is good, but it's still a horrendous matchup against the Colts. The Colts do really, really well against tight ends. They have struggled a little bit as of late, but I think I'd play Kmet here, honestly. Juwan asked Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. I have Hurts higher in my rankings, and I know that it's really difficult to say that anybody over Josh Allen right now because he's playing so damn well. But again, that's a divisional matchup. Those two teams know each other extremely well. And Josh Allen, he hasn't been like dominant against the Patriots. If you look at his game history against them, I know it's without Stephon Gilmore and it's a different defense and all that stuff, but it's just a slow paced game is all. And I think you see that reflected in the total of that game. Where Jalen Hurts, there's going to be tons of plays in that game. The Eagles and the Cowboys both rank top 5 in the NFL in terms of total plays per game. So you're going to see that game should net a lot of fantasy points. Anthony Stevens, PPR with Quinnen Williams out for the Jets, Hunt or Dobbins. I'll already be playing Chubb. I have Dobbins higher. It's not a terrible question in a PPR format because Dobbins obviously doesn't catch any passes. I'm thinking about it for a moment, because I do have Dobbins. I always think in terms of half PPR because I want to apply to everyone. But now I'm thinking in a full PPR format, I don't think there's any way Kareem Hunt finishes this game with fewer than 4 receptions, whereas Dobbins would be lucky to get 1 or 2. A 2-point swing, that's quite a bit. Maybe you go with Hunt and just play Chubb and Hunt. They're going to rack up touches. I think I might go there actually in a full PPR. Ricardo asked Herbert or Hurts. I would go with Hurts. I've talked about Hurts quite a bit, and the reason I like that game so much. Herbert, it's like, I know he did extremely well against the Raiders, but that Raiders secondary was looking abysmal. They were missing a few starters on defense in that game. With Keenan Allen out or very, very limited, obviously that drags down him. They should be able to run the ball quite a bit with Austin Eckler this week. I just feel like Herbert, we don't want to overreact to one game against the Raiders because don't forget, the couple weeks prior to that, he had shown signs of struggling a little bit. I'm glad he got some of that confidence back, and I do think that there's a ceiling there for him in this game. But again, I have to dial it back, whereas Hurts, he not only comes with that ceiling, but he comes with a floor that's higher than Herbert. So that's why I'd play Hurts. Thoughts on Snell over Connor? No, I don't think so. Connor practiced in full all week, so I think he's going to be good to go. Cynical asked, PPR flex pick 1, Cooks, Kupp, or McKissick? PPR. Oh, man, I really wish this one would have been McKissick. I still think I might go with McKissick because there's guaranteed touches there. It seems like Alex Smith is going to play. Alex Smith is a guy that's checked down continually to his running backs. And now that you add Terry McLaurin out for that game, I mean, come on. I think we have to go with McKissick here. Woods and Kupp are going to be fine PPR options, but again, they're not guaranteed anything. You are guaranteed touches with J.D. McKissick. So I'd probably lean McKissick there, honestly. And again, this goes back to the idea that even before Antonio Gibson was hurt, him and J.D. McKissick were splitting snaps. So, I mean, I like McKissick here. The Carolina Panthers allow tons of production through the air to running backs. So, I think they lead the NFL in terms of receptions allowed to running backs. So, I'd probably go with McKissick and just take the guaranteed touches. What's up, Ed? Dobbins, Hunt, or Gibson PPR? We just talked this one through. I think I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt in a full PPR. Just because of how involved he kind of needs to be in the passing game, and he's going to get plenty of carries too. Let's see. Kyle asked Gio or Gibson. I have Gio slightly higher because, again, Gibson was a guy that was playing about half the snaps. He wasn't a full-time running back. And everybody goes back and they think back to the Thanksgiving day, and they look at the other Dallas matchup and they say, oh, Antonio Gibson's a stud. He was a stud against Dallas, 100%. But he was more of like an RB2 in most weeks because you could never guarantee that he was going to have more than 30 snaps in a game. He was splitting so much work with McKissick. So coming back off the injury, I don't know how they're going to treat that. I just can't say that Gibson is a must play no matter what, especially if you have someone like Kareem Hunt, who, again, he's going to receive 50% of the snaps. He's going to be involved in the passing game a little bit more. So I would go Hunt in a PPR. Yeah, Gio. I'm sorry, Kyle, I passed over. Gio is the one I would go with. He's just a safer play this week, I think. Let's see. Taylor asks, am I crazy to play Jonathan Taylor and Bell in the RB spots and flexing Davis over Beasley PPR? I need to win this one, Tags. Well, I appreciate that. And to be fair, guys, I promise you, I am answering these questions the way that I would do them. The last thing I want to do is legit make a bad decision that costs you guys a matchup. That stuff eats at me. If I recommend someone continually on a stream and it doesn't work out, it legit ruins my day. So that's the last thing I want to happen. So I'm always gonna say that you need this. I'm always gonna pretend that you need a win. And yes, I would play Davis over Beasley, just considering we don't know if John Brown's going to come back. And if he does, that does limit the ceiling for Cole Beasley. We've seen Cole Beasley take a step in a total different direction. He's taken a big leap forward with John Brown out of the lineup. And it's not to say that Beasley doesn't offer somewhat of a floor in PPR formats, but Mike Davis is a guy that's going to get 15 touches. And I think it's difficult to pass that up. Let's see. Ooh, James, thanks for the great season. Thank you, James. Am I crazy to sit Russell Wilson and Lockett for Jalen Hurts? You're not crazy at all. I would do it in a heartbeat. I legit wouldn't even have a second thought about that. FYI, I'd be starting Deontay in Lockett's place. Yes, I would do that. I would start both Jalen Hurts over Russell Wilson, and I would start Deontay Johnson over Tyler Lockett. And I feel confident about both those, James. Do it. Phoenix Wright asked Hilton or Hardman full PPR. I'm going to go with T.Y. Hilton. At least we know he plays a full-time role. Mecole Hardman, if you were to go through his snap counts, I highlight this in the primer all the time, is that Mecole Hardman was someone that you can never fully trust. And I understand that Tyreek Hill was dealing with the hamstring injury or whatever. I think part of it is maintenance for a veteran that knows exactly what he's doing. If Tyreek Hill was really hurt, he would not be playing in this game. He really wouldn't be playing, especially with a hamstring. I think it's just more of a veterans thing that they're doing with him. But Mecole Hardman is more of a Hail Mary play if you have no one else. T.Y. Hilton has been playing well. Pittsburgh, of the production that they do allow to opponents, a lot of it has gone to the wide receivers. They've been playing better as of late, but I still go with T.Y. Hilton. Just safer play. Jennifer asked, Juju, Shepard, or QT? I would go with Juju. QT's matchup against Mackenzie Alexander and the Bengals, not great. That's actually the toughest matchup on the field is in the slot against them. Sterling Shepard, Daniel Jones is just not very good. Shepard, obviously, tough matchup against Baltimore. You don't really love him there. And then Juju, I know Juju's coming off a bad game. Legit cost some people some fantasy some wins last week in fantasy, but looking at it against Indianapolis has allowed some production as of late to slot-heavy wide receivers, including QT over the last couple of weeks. Now, QT is a totally different wide receiver than Juju Smith-Schuster, but this is a game where the Steelers are going to struggle to run the ball against that Colts defense. They're going to have to move the ball through the air. Their wide receivers are that avenue. Juju Smith-Schuster against that zone-heavy defense. Juju is a wide receiver 3 for me this week. I don't think that he's all crazy locked in must play, but I think he's a solid play, and I would play him over those other guys. Anthony asks, hey, Tag, start 1 PPR, Gio, Crowder, or Gallup? I'd play Gio. Give me the guaranteed touches. That's what it all comes back to, guys. Those guaranteed touches. That's what you look for. Crowder, can he splash from time to time? Sure. Yeah, Cleveland, they can, but Cleveland's been better in the slot once they've gotten kind of healthy in the secondary. Gallup came off that hip injury. His matchup isn't bad, but he's been so inefficient this year. It's really difficult to say that you love him. I'd play Gio. Let's see. Aloha, pick 2, half PPR, Hunt, Ridley, Deontay Johnson. Congrats. Oh, geez. Or grazie. That was different languages. I would go with Calvin Ridley's definitely playing one. He's definitely one of them. And then Kareem Hunt or Deontay Johnson. That is super tough for me. I like Deontay Johnson quite a bit. But I think it comes back to the guaranteed touches, and I think we have to go with Hunt. It's really close, though. I wanted to say Deontay Johnson. I really did. But Calvin Ridley's a must-play. He's arguably the number one wide receiver behind Devontae Adams this week. Arguably. Maybe you put Tyree, whatever. Calvin Ridley's a smash. But I guess Hunt over Deontay because, again, it comes back to the idea that you can't pass up 15 guaranteed touches, even though I love Deontay Johnson. Like, I have Deontay Johnson ranked as my number 12 wide receiver this week. Yeah. Trone Force, Le'Veon Bell or Tyler Lockett, full PPR. I'd play Le'Veon. Again, those guaranteed touches. Tyler Lockett has been horrendous. If you remove those 2 games from Arizona that he had, like, legit, he would look like a wide receiver that might be on waiver wires. Like, he's been that bad. I don't want to fully dismiss him, with other wide receivers, which is why I still have him ranked around the wide receiver 25, I think. But Le'Veon Bell, I would go with. All right, let's see. Julian, Gio McKissick, Kareem Hunt, half PPR, pick 2. Let's see. So Kareem Hunt is one, and the other one's Gio. Gio and McKissick are very close for me in my rankings. I would be really torn with them if you went to a full PPR, but being it's half PPR, I will go with Gio, knowing that Antonio Gibson's going to play. Let's see. Lockett or Gibson, flex position, half PPR. I'm probably going to take my shot with Gibson there. We don't know how it's going to work out. Him coming back, he was limited in practice all week, didn't get in a full practice, but the fact that they're letting him play, I think typically they would want to play it safe with a running back. That's going to be arguably big part of their future. But being that he's playing against Carolina in a plus matchup, I have to say that he's okay. I mean, I do worry about him versus other running backs, but I think over Lockett, I'll play him. I think I'll take that risk. Nathan asked, Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, best chance to claw out of a Kamara and Mike Evans. Oof, that sucks. Jalen Reagor, for sure. Reagor is someone I actually like quite a bit this week. I don't even know how that's going to work with Deshaun Jackson. I can't imagine Deshaun Jackson is going to have a very big role in the offense now that you have Reagor out there. Greg Ward's been playing the slot, and then Alshon Jeffrey is he's the X receiver. So he would almost have to play over Reagor. Deshaun Jackson, I don't think they're going to do that. So I think Reagor is the one you want to play. Brian Sams, full PPR, pick 1. Dobbins, McKissick, or Mike Davis. I have Dobbins up there. I have Dobbins as the running back I would play of those. I think McKissick in a full PPR is close, but I'd still probably go Dobbins. It's close. Let's see here. Big Ben asks, Wilson or Trubisky? I need a solid floor. Trubisky. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. And when I do my rankings, I always try and ask myself, what would I do myself? And that's how I kind of do my rankings, because a lot of guys, they do projections and how things work out, and they'll shift players a little bit. I always do rankings. Like, I write up the players and I go through it and I say, would I start this player over this player? And I got to Trubisky and Russell Wilson. And I'm like, if I had both of these guys on my roster, I think I'd be playing Trubisky. Like, I think the reason I came to that conclusion is because I think Russell Wilson, a good game against the Los Angeles Rams, would be him finishing as like the QB 10. I think that would be considered a really, really good week for him. But I think the median projection is more around like QB 18 to QB 20. Like that's where I would view him. So Russell Wilson came in at QB 14 in my rankings because I have to build in for some of that best case scenario. Trubisky is currently at 11. So Trubisky is the one I would go with. I do worry about Trubisky's ceiling a little bit because, again, that game, they should win it pretty handily, and I would anticipate them giving David Montgomery a lot of touches. Let's see. Jeff asked, Pascal or Perriman? Perriman, I guess. Shoot for the big play. There's got to be some better options out there for you, though, man. Like, it's the final week. I would assume that there's better options. Like, I would probably want to play Marvin Hall over those guys. Marvin Hall is the only Browns wide receiver who's actually practiced with the team. So, I guess that I'm guessing he's probably available. Matt asks, good morning, Tax. Good morning. We made it. Yes, we did. Half PPR, Darrell Henderson, Wayne Gallman, or Giovanni Bernard. Thank you as always. This one was, I've been racking my brain on this all freaking week. Gallman's out of the conversation for me. The Giants are dumb and they're not playing him. And I'm sorry to say that. Like I rarely say that about a team, but I'm so aggravated that Wayne Gallman has played his butt off this year. He's played extremely well in a lot of tough matchups, and then they're cutting his snaps. Why? I don't get it. It's frustrating. Darrell Henderson walks into a role that, against the Seahawks, I mean, it's really difficult to see a scenario where he doesn't see 15 touches, okay? The matchup against Seattle, the way that Sean McVay's offense is aligned with Pete Carroll's defense, the running backs have done extremely well against them. I highlighted that in the primer this week. I went through it, and I said I like Darrell Henderson as a low-end RB2. I won't pretend that he doesn't come without some risk, but I think it's more of like a does he score risk. Whereas Giovanni Bernard, the risk is more about the game script, right? Like if Deshaun Watson goes out there and they put up points in that Bengals defense and they struggle, all of a sudden Giovanni Bernard is just kind of, he was a guy that coming into last week, I don't think he had topped 11 carries in like 5 straight games. So that's a real worry. If he gets I don't care if he gets 11 carries, even if it's 5 yards per carry against the Texans defense that's terrible, you're talking about 55 yards. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that, because it's not like this Bengals team has a whole lot of scoring opportunities. Now, against the Texans, you want to believe that there are going to be some. So I like Bernard. I think Henderson is the guy that I should be saying that you play. I'm going to look at my rankings because I'm trying to talk myself through here. Yeah, my rankings right now have Darrell Henderson at 22, Giovanni Bernard at 23, and I don't feel great about it. I don't. I mean, I'm so torn between these guys. I'm actually going to move Mike Davis behind both of them, I think, because I'm a little worried about Mike Davis. That matchup is not very good against Washington. The cutback and snaps, yeah, there's a lot of worries there. Let's see. Pick 2 for Doc. PPR, Kareem Hunt, A.J. Brown, or Robert Woods? Hate this question. A.J. Brown is someone that is locked and played. Like, you play him. Then Kareem Hunt versus Robert Woods in a PPR format. I think we have to go Hunt and take the guaranteed touches. So looking through the primer this week, I basically came across the fact that Seattle has been so much better than people realize against wide receivers as of late. They were a team that I continually wanted everybody to attack earlier in the year. But if you look at it, you'd have to go back to... I'm working my way up there. You'd have to go back to week 10 to find the last time a wide receiver scored more than 14.7 PPR points against them. It has not been a really good matchup. Woods is fine. I think I'm going to play Kareem Hunt and just take the guaranteed touches. Caden asked, half PPR, Hunt, Dobbins, Gordon, pick 2, please. So Melvin Gordon's a must for me. He's a lock. And then I would play Dobbins over Hunt in a half PPR format. It's close between those guys. It really is. I'm kind of realizing that as I talk through these games. That I would really be torn between those, but I do have Dobbins higher, considering Mark Ingram was a healthy scratch last week. You know, I don't consider Lamar Jackson to throw the ball a whole lot through the air against the Giants. On a per-play basis, the Giants' run defense hasn't been great, but they haven't faced a whole lot of carries. Dobbins looks fresh. He looks great for the stretch run. So I would go with definitely Melvin Gordon and then Dobbins over Hunt slightly. It's close, though. Sean asked, Keenan Allen... All right, there's too many players there. We have to narrow these down, guys. Jacob asked, Russell Wilson or Trubisky? Yeah, dude, it's weird to say Trubisky, but that's where we're at. It's crazy. Tim asked, Amari Cooper or Jonathan Taylor? Darius Slay is going to play. He's not been great this year, but I think I have to go with Jonathan Taylor. Amari coming off one of the worst games of the year. Against Philadelphia, a divisional matchup. I do like Amari this week, but I can't play him over a running back that's going to get 15-plus touches. Can't do it. Sarah asked, Tags, hey, am I crazy to start Deontay Johnson over DK Metcalf? No, you're not crazy at all. In fact, when I was doing my rankings, that was a question I got to. Like, I was trying to figure out, okay, how far am I really going to drop DK? Because you never want to, like, fully fade DK Metcalf because he's super good. Obviously, if you leave him one-on-one coverage, he could destroy anybody. But there was a moment, and I'm surprised it didn't get more talk like during this week and why people are still wanting to play DK and DFS and whatever, is that when he came down in the end zone, his leg came down in a really awkward way. And he missed some time, came back to the game, so people aren't overreacting about it. But now, if he's like legit, even if he's 90% against Jalen Ramsey, that's a problem. Jalen Ramsey's been super good in coverage. I have DK at 13. I have Deontay Johnson at 12. So I do not think you are crazy at all. I know that some people are going to think it's crazy, but Sarah, I have them right next to each other. I don't think you're crazy at all. Mark asks, Amari Cooper or Cole Beasley in a standard format? I'd play Amari over Beasley. Again, with Beasley, we don't know if John Brown's going to play, and if he does play, we could see him cut into that. Beasley's more of like a PPR play than anything. Let's see. Bruce asks, hey, Tags, Allen or Herbert in a full PPR? That's where I'd go with Josh Allen. He's been playing too well right now to fade him. That team they really don't have a run game. That's where you have to like Josh Allen a little bit more than most, is because teams have gone extremely run heavy against the Patriots. I think that teams have run on them more than all but the Cowboys. Like their teams just run and run and run against the Patriots. The Bills don't do that. They don't really have Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. I think those guys combine for like 22 touches a game. So it's not, I think I have to go with Allen there just with how good he's been playing. John asks, good morning, Tags. Good morning. Half PPR, pick one back. Pick one back, one flex. Okay. There is too many players here. I'm sorry, John. We have to narrow it down. Daniel, DJ Moore or Lazard, full PPR. I would go DJ Moore. It's not a great matchup for him, but come on, play DJ Moore. Should I start Giovanni Bernard over Zeke? Yes, I would. We've heard reports this morning that it's going to be a timeshare between those two, that Zeke should get more than 50%, but it's going to be close to a 50-50 share. And it's not like it's a great matchup against Philadelphia, so I would go Gio. It's a little bit of risk, sure, but it's okay. Let's see. James asks, Allen Robinson or DJ Moore? I would play Allen Robinson over DJ Moore this week. Moore's matchup against Washington is not great. It's really not. Washington is going to get pressure. Carolina missing their starting left tackle. It's a problem. So Allen Robinson against his former team. Joshua asks, thanks for all your help, Tags. Thank you. Pick 2, Deontay Johnson, J.K. Dobbins, and James Conner in a half PPR. So let's see. You are benching James Conner. You're going to play Deontay Johnson and J.K. Dobbins. Conner is, even if Conner plays and gets like the workhorse role, which nowadays in the Steelers offense, I would say that might get you 15 touches. Against the Colts, it's not good. All right, Tyler asked, half PPR, Jonnu Smith or Austin Hooper? Thanks for all the help my first year of fantasy. Well, first off, Tyler, I want to take a minute to say congrats on making it through this year. I've constantly asked myself that, saying, I can't imagine if this was someone's first year playing fantasy football and having to deal with this. It's usually a lot better than this, I promise. It's been a weird year. It's been one where, a lot, and the fact that you're still here, playing, that's obviously fantastic that you're in the championship, but it's been a brutal year. This is literally the worst year of fantasy football for a first timer. So congrats to you making it through. Half PPR, I would go with Austin Hooper over Jonnu Smith. Smith doesn't get targeted a whole lot to begin with, and then you look at the Packers in terms of like how often tight ends have been targeted against them, and it's been ridiculous. I think that they have faced, if it's not a league low, it's very close. Let's see. They have faced come on. All right, my computer is being very, very slow right now. I think I just have too much stuff going on here. But they have faced the 5th fewest tight end targets this season, and part of that comes from the fact that their opponents have only had 60 plays per game. But Jonnu Smith, it's more of like, if he doesn't score, he's probably going to bust. So Austin Hooper with those wide receivers out, I'd play Hooper. Let's see. Robert asked Henderson over Woods in a PPR. I might draw the line there. I might go with Robert Woods in a full PPR there. Tiago asks, Jamison Crowder or Keenan Allen half PPR? I mean, I would probably, at this point, I think I'd probably play Crowder. I'm looking, and that game is at noon. Yeah, I think I'm at the point where I just play Crowder and be safe. I don't think we're going to hear anything about Keenan Allen that would make us feel great about him. So, I mean, I'm going to end up moving him outside my top 40 wide receivers. So I guess I'll go with Jamison Crowder. Let's see. Dobbins, Bell, or Henderson, full PPR. Let's see. I have Dobbins as the highest one. I have Bell right there with him. And then Henderson's not too far. Yeah, they're all in RB2 territory, but Dobbins is the one. Wait, full PPR. I have to always think that when I get to Dobbins, it's really stupid because Dobbins is a good pass catcher and he's fine. Like, there's no reason he shouldn't get targets, but he doesn't. So we have to. I think I go Le'Veon Bell in a full PPR over Dobbins. Yeah. GV, QT, or Gage in a standard flex. Gage With Julio out, you have to go Gage. He's been seeing enough targets to play there. Yehuda asks, Gibson, Hunt, or Henderson full PPR, sit 1. Thanks for a great season. Thank you for seriously. This season's been great for me, guys, too. I appreciate you guys hanging out through the season. It's been a wild one, but it was bigger than ever this show this year. So you guys do us a favor and throw a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, because again, we're going to be delivering content throughout the off season, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to be covering the NFL draft again. It was a wild success. You guys obviously made it so fun. If you missed that, we actually covered the NFL draft pick by pick throughout the entire first round, gave you fantasy analysis, what it meant for teams, all that fun stuff. So it was a blast. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to get, like, obviously you'll get notified when all new videos go up and all that. So let's see. But back for the Yehuda, Gibson, Hunt, or Henderson in a full PPR. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. Oh, wait, sit one of them. So I'm going to sit Antonio Gibson. There's a lot of risk there. I can't imagine he's going to be used heavily in the passing game with McKissick there. So I'm going to go with Hunt and Henderson just with their guaranteed roles, where Antonio Gibson's more of like a, he's an RB3 that comes with some risk. Does he come with some upside? Sure. But there's just too much risk there to play him over Hunt or Henderson. Half PPR, Taylor or Hunt. I would go with Jonathan Taylor slightly. He's the lead back there. I mean, again, this comes back to the idea that Kareem Hunt, a lot of people have asked me that. How high are you going to move Kareem Hunt, now that the wide receivers are out for the Browns? And, I mean, he's going to move up a little bit. But the Jets have been the third best defense in the NFL in terms of, like, efficiency. When you look at weighted opportunity versus fantasy points that they've allowed on a per-touch basis, the Jets rank third in the NFL. However, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Hunt's not a great play. He is, just because of the fact that this team, they're going to run the ball. Those running backs, I would imagine, are going to touch the ball 35 plus times. So therefore, it's like you're getting tons of touches. So even if they're inefficient, it's fine. But it's, yeah. But I think it has to be Taylor against that struggling Pittsburgh defense. It's so close, though. It's close. Let's see. Cynthia asked, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, or Marvin Hall. Pick one PPR. It's DJ Moore for me. If the targets are there for him against Washington, he can beat Ronald Darby. He can beat Kendall Fuller on the perimeter. Those are the cornerbacks he's going to see most of the game. But the targets have to be there. T. Higgins I like, but the quarterback situation, we don't even know who's starting for the Bengals. They haven't even announced it. Well, they didn't as of this morning. They hadn't. But that's why I can't feel totally comfortable with T. Higgins. And Marvin Hall is more of like an emergency guy. So DJ Moore. Let's see here. Melvin Gordon with Giants defense or Gio with Washington defense. Oh, I'm guessing this is a DFS question. Melvin Gordon with the Giants defense. So defenses are just so wildly inconsistent in terms of projecting them. So take the better running back there. Melvin Gordon with Phillip Lindsay out. Melvin Gordon's going to get 18 plus touches. He's going to be a solid play against his former team. Let's see. Ryan asked, playing from behind. Thanks, Kamara. Yeah, that sucks, man. There's definitely some people out there that are going to lose because of Alvin Kamara. Need one for the last full PPR flex spot. T.Y. Hilton, Brandon Cooks, Marquise Brown. My opponent is starting Lamar as well. Thanks for all the help. So there's pros and cons here, right? So I know some people like to pair the wide receiver up with their opponent's quarterback, but if Lamar Jackson's going off, you're probably not going to be doing that well anyways, so you're almost capping your upside by playing Marquise Brown. That's more of a safe play than anything. And knowing that you need upside, I would probably go with Brandon Cooks. That's probably who I'd play if you're looking for upside. Cooks is a guy that's going to see probably 8+ targets, can break off that big play too. I'd go with Cooks because, again, I think Marquise Brown, you're limiting your upside there. I know that he's a boom-bust play, but if he's catching those touchdowns, that means Lamar's getting them. So you're not really gaining any ground on your opponent. TMC asked, half PPR, Gage or Hilton? Oh, I have Gage slightly higher. Not a whole lot, but slightly. Elway 2000 tags Keenan Allen, DJ Chark, Kiki QT standard. Please pick one. I'm not going to play Keenan Allen right now. I'm going to play DJ Chark and hope for the best. That's what I'm going to do. Mike Glennon back under center kind of sucks, but at the same time, the Bears secondary, they have been missing Jalen Johnson. They've been missing Buster Screen, and we've all of a sudden seen that secondary start to allow some more points. So, yeah. Let's see. Just trying to make sure I'm staying on top of everything that I can here. Half PPR, Kareem Hunt or Deontay Johnson. Yeah, this was, I think, a question that was already asked, but I went with Kareem Hunt. I love Deontay Johnson this week, but I don't think I could play him over a running back I see getting 15 touches. Tags, I need your help. Tony Pollard, LaMichael Pirine, or Ito Smith. So Ito Smith and Tony Pollard are very, very similar for me. Tony Pollard's matchup is worse, but he's been so explosive when he gets the ball, and now they're calling for maybe a 50-50 timeshare. Ito Smith is someone that has stolen the starting job from Todd Gurley. Raheem Morris said this is not based on Todd Gurley's health. It's based on performance, that they're moving to Ito Smith. The matchup against the Chiefs is actually really good in terms of efficiency, what it's been over the last couple of years. I mean, if you're looking for, I don't know. I view them very, very similarly, to be honest with you. I guess Tony Pollard would be my choice. I'm looking at my rankings to see if there's anything that could make me feel differently. No, I have Pollard at 30. I have Ito Smith at 31. So yeah, they're close. But you said full PPR. Yeah. Man, this is tough. That's so tough. I guess it's Pollard, but it's not Pirine. Will asked full PPR, T.Y. Hilton or T. Higgins. I would go with T. Higgins there. Let's see. Herbert or Jackson half PPR? I think that's the question. I have Lamar Jackson at 4. I have Herbert, I think, at 6 or 7. So, yeah. Hunt or DJ Moore? I'd play Hunt. Give me the guaranteed touches. Let's see. Shannon asked PPR, Jonathan Taylor or David Johnson. I have David Johnson higher. Now that Duke Johnson's out of the lineup, you have to bump up the floor for David, and it's already a better matchup than Jonathan Taylor has. So if you're getting more guaranteed touches against a worse defense, I think you have to go David Johnson. And again, Jonathan Taylor's missing both of his starting tackles. Michael asked, good morning, Tags. Dobbins, Henderson, or Carson in a standard format. I think we have to go Dobbins in a standard format. Carson's really close, but I think I go Dobbins. Gage. What? I'm sorry. That question disappeared. I'm sorry. Let's see. DCL, please help. Do I start Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb full PPR? I'd play Amari Cooper. Matchup is better. I know Darius Slay has been a good cornerback, but he hasn't been really great for the Eagles. CeeDee Lamb against Nickel Roby-Coleman in the slot, not a great matchup. I'd play Amari. Chris Patterson, PPR, I'm playing Wilson at quarterback. Would you start Robbie Anderson over DK for any reason? No. Took a big hit with Ayuk last night, but still have a chance. Yeah, I'd still play DK there. Robbie Anderson's matchup is bad against Washington. It may not be quite as bad as DK Metcalf's against Jalen Ramsey, but let's not pretend that Robbie Anderson's even in the same vicinity as DK Metcalf. So I'll go with DK. Mike Davis or Tyron Johnson if Allen sits. I would still play Mike Davis and take the guaranteed touches. Not a great matchup, but I don't want to sit here and pretend that Tyron Johnson is someone that's going to smash. Let's see. Patrick, Nyheim Hines, or Mike Davis. I'd play Mike Davis. Black Mamba, Gage, Robbie Anderson, or Corey Davis in the flex. Full PPR. I think I have to go with Corey Davis here. He's been too consistent. There's been 2 games all year where he has scored fewer than 10 PPR points. Like, the floor is there. Gage, tough matchup against KC. He should have a decent floor, but I think Davis has a higher ceiling there. And then Robbie Anderson, tough matchup against Washington. He's been trending down altogether, so I'll go with Corey Davis. Eric asked, full PPR flex, Henderson or Hunt? I would go with Hunt here. I'd go Hunt. Randy asked tight end Robert Tonyan or Logan Thomas. Have Devontae Adams as well. Non-PPR. That's super tough. I think I have to go at Logan Thomas. It's close, man. It's so close. Logan Thomas, I have them right next to each other in the rankings. The reason I'm probably going to go with Logan Thomas is just because he's been so good in tough matchups, and now you take Terry McLaurin out of the lineup, and it's like this guy could get double-digit targets. Like, I think I have to go at Logan Thomas here. Let's see. Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, 6-point passing touchdowns. I would go Jalen Hurts. I know Lamar Jackson's someone that I was telling people constantly over and over, like, buy him before the fantasy playoffs. He's going to go off. And he's lived up to that reputation. Actually, over the last 3 weeks, he's been fantastic. The matchup against the Giants isn't great. It's not bad, but it's not great. Whereas Jalen Hurts against Dallas, it's a great matchup. Jalen Hurts has shown a floor. He's shown a ceiling. I have Hurts 1 spot higher than him in the rankings right now. Robert Woods or Allen Robinson if he plays full PPR. I'd go with Allen Robinson. Randy asks full PPR, Deontay Johnson or Brandon Cooks. I would play Deontay Johnson. Let's see. Daniel asks McKissick or Dobbins in a flex full PPR. Oh, in a full PPR format, I think I still go Dobbins there. It's close though. It's really close. If McKissick, if Antonio Gibson wasn't playing, I would have said McKissick in a full PPR. But knowing Antonio Gibson's playing, I think we have to dial back a little bit for McKissick, and I will go with Dobbins. Close though. All right, hey tags, full PPR, Hooper or T.Y. Hilton or QT. I think I'll go with Hooper. Knowing the wide receivers are out, I think I'm going to go with Hooper over Hilton. Blake asks, thanks for all help. Thank you, man. Standard pick 1, Marquise Brown or Russell Gage. Standard format, I think I'll go with Marquise Brown. You're taking on some risk to get some reward. That's what you're looking. You're hoping for the big play because he's not going to continually beat James Bradberry. Whereas Russell Gage, not a great matchup against Kansas City. Ari asks Amari Cooper or Deontay Johnson. I have Deontay Johnson. Magic Bell, James Conner or Tony Pollard half PPR. Need floor play. Thanks for everything this year. So yeah, this is a good question and one that I got to my rankings, and that's where I was trying to decide. Okay, now that we know that they want it to be a timeshare between these running backs, how high do I actually move Tony Pollard? And I got up to RB 30. I have James Conner at 31. So, but you're asking about a floor play. I think it's still probably Pollard, to be honest with you, because James Conner against Indianapolis, they're not going to be able to run the ball on that team. Like they're just not. And James Conner hasn't been used heavily in the passing game at all. So I can't see James Conner just kind of bouncing back this week. I just can't see it. So I guess Pollard is the play. Sean asked, help Logan Thomas, Jacoby Myers, or Hooper in a half PPR. I'd play Logan Thomas. Corey asked, tags from Germany, Henderson, Davis, or Connor full PPR finals. Let's see. I would play Darrell Henderson over those guys. Todd asked Cole Beasley or Tony Pollard half PPR. I almost want to go with Beasley. I do. Because again, the matchup against Philadelphia is not great for running backs, and then you add in a 50-50 timeshare. That's why I can't get too high on Pollard. So I'll go with Beasley here. Eric asked PPR, Juju, Brandon Cooks, or Russell Gage. I would play Brandon Cooks of those. Alan asked Wayne Gallman or Marvin Hall PPR. I'd still go Gallman. It's sad that they're doing what they're doing to him, but I'd still go Gallman. J.K. Dobbins or Mike Williams. I need upside. I like Mike Williams for upside this week. I really do. Dobbins is not used a lot in the passing game. That game is expected to be competitive, so I can't see Dobbins going out for like 3 touchdowns or anything like that. Hold on, let me look at something really quick just to satisfy my own curiosity. All right. There have been, let's see, 8 different running backs who have finished with more than 15 PPR points against New York, but looks like 6 of them caught at least 3 balls. So that's a problem. Man, that's so tough. I guess it's still J.K. Dobbins because he's a running back and he's going to get you a floor and he does give you a ceiling if he scores a couple times. So it's tough. I mean, I like Mike Williams, but not over Dobbins, even if you need upside. Gage or Claypool in a standard format. I'll go with Claypool. Again, it is taking on a little bit more risk, but it's doing it to get some more reward. I think that there's potentially more reward with Claypool. G.O., David Johnson or Pollard full PPR. David Johnson. David Johnson is kind of a must play right now. Phil asked, hey tags, hey, need one Ito Smith, Connor, or Snell? I would just play Ito Smith and just rid myself of that Steelers backfield, to be honest with you. I'm looking. All right. Let's see. Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts? I have Hurts just a couple spots higher. I just think that there's a floor and ceiling to be had there. That game could potentially be competitive, where I just don't think we see it with the Bills game being very competitive. It's always slow-paced with the Patriots, so that's the worrisome part. Let's see. DJ Moore or Deontay Johnson in standard scoring? I would still play Deontay Johnson there. Let's see. Standard Jonathan Taylor or Antonio Gibson? Thanks for the help. Love from Israel. Appreciate it. Seriously, that's cool. Jonathan Taylor or Antonio Gibson? I would play Jonathan Taylor and hope for the best against the Steelers defense that's been dealing with tons and tons of injuries. Deshaun Watson or Jalen Hurts? I'd play Hurts. Logan Thomas, McKissick, or Brandon Cooks in a standard league in the flex? A standard league. I think it has to be Brandon Cooks for me. It's really close between him and Logan Thomas. McKissick is more of a PPR guy, but I'll go Brandon Cooks. All right. Thanks all year. Mike Davis or Antonio Gibson PPR. I think I'm going to go with Mike Davis and just take the guaranteed touches. We don't know what's going to happen with Antonio Gibson, so that's where I'm going to go. Guys, Dan Harris is about to take over on the, we're starting, you can see actually the link in the chat. Dan Harris is about to take over for a full hour to answer you guys' questions. Dan's the man. He's top 20 in accuracy on the year. So if I didn't get to your question, make sure you go ask Dan. He's a superstar. I love Dan. Tell him that I said hi. But yeah, thank you guys so much for an awesome year. It's been fantastic. I really can't thank you guys enough for the support that you guys have shown this show throughout the year. We want to continue to improve. So subscribe to the channel, like if you haven't already, and I definitely want to see you guys throughout the off season. We're going to be doing live chats. We're going to be doing a bunch of things for you guys. So make sure you stop in and check them out. Thank you guys as always, and best of luck in those Week 16 championships, guys. Seriously, best of luck. But until next time, lights out.